Hello everyone, this is Showtime 112. We are moving on with the story of the 1941 Syria Campaign. If you missed the introductory video describing the origins of the campaign and the capabilities of the forces involved, you can find the link in the video description. To sum up, in June 1941, the British leadership decided to take control of Syria and Lebanon in order to strengthen their positions in Egypt and Iraq. Syria and Lebanon were governed by Vichy France, which was hostile to Britain and determined to resist any invasion. The Vichy command in Syria and Lebanon controlled relatively strong air units, including about 50 Dewoitine D-520s and Morane-Saulnier MS-406s. Australian, Indian, and Free French ground units commenced their advance into Syria and Lebanon on the morning of 8 June 1941. The Australians were heading up the coast, while the Indians were advancing to their right. The RAF opened the campaign by attacking the Vichy French airfield at Rayak with 3 Hurricanes of 80 Squadron. They were supposed to destroy the Martin 167 bombers of GB-139, but found none of them there. Most had been transferred to Mertzisen, while the remaining 3 were on a mission attacking the Commonwealth columns approaching Quneitra. Various aircraft were claimed destroyed by the Hurricane pilots, but only a single Potez 25 is recorded as damaged. The Hurricanes were followed by 5 Tomahawks of 3 Royal Australian Air Force Squadron, which were more successful, destroying 1 Dewoitine D-520 and damaging 2 more. It seems that the Curtiss fighters were mistaken for friendly aircraft by Vichy ground spotters, as the ground defenses were completely surprised. But before the arrival of the Tomahawks at Rayak, one of the most successful French fighter pilots of the Second World War, Pierre Le Gloan, had taken off, leading 6 Dewoitine D-520s to Damascus, from where they were to fly 10 sorties that day. Sous-Lieutenant Le Gloan and Sergeant-Chef Mertzisen flew an escort mission for a single Potez 6311 around noon. The twin-engine aircraft was tasked with reconnaissance over the Isra region. The Vichy flight spotted a motorized column, and the 2 Dewoitine pilots decided to strafe it. Mertzisen's Dewoitine was damaged by return fire, and the pilot crash-landed his aircraft. He survived and was able to escape capture, being aided by the local Druze population. Pierre Le Gloan escorted the Potez back to Damascus, but on their return flight, a single Hurricane of 208 Squadron on a reconnaissance mission was encountered. The British aircraft, flown by Flight Lieutenant Jimmy Aldis, was quickly attacked and shot down by the French ace, raising his personal score to 12 aerial victories and his first against the Allies. Later that day, however, the Vichy forces lost another one of their precious Dewoitines along with its pilot. Sergeant-Chef Ravili crashed during takeoff from Damascus airfield and was killed. Two Dewoitines of Groupe de Chasse 3-6 took off from Rayak at 1 p.m. While patrolling over the coast, they encountered Fulmars of No. 803 Squadron covering Royal Navy cruisers off Sidon. Lieutenant Martin announced over the radio that he was going to attack them, but his aircraft was shot down. Martin managed to bail out over the coast and was captured by Australian troops. Martin's wingman reported that his leader had been shot down by enemy fighters identified as Hurricanes. However, British sources attribute the success to the anti-aircraft guns of their 15th Cruiser Squadron. The Vichy French command sent a stronger patrol to the same area at 3:32 p.m. 6 Dewoitines led by Captain Léon Richard met 6 Fulmars and again misidentified them as Hurricanes. This time, the French pilots clearly demonstrated the superiority of their mounts. Each of the 2 French flights claimed 1 enemy aircraft shot down. At the same time, several Dewoitines received minor damage from anti-aircraft fire from the Royal Navy ships below. One of the victories was credited to Captain Léon Richard. It was his first, and he would go on to score more, all against British aircraft. British records show that no fewer than 3 Fulmars were lost that day. 2 of the aircraft were shot down with their crews killed, while in the third case, the pilot and the observer were rescued from the sea. Another Fulmar was significantly damaged, and it's possible that one of the Fulmars was shot down by Lieutenant Martin in the earlier mission, before he himself was forced to bail out. With the Fulmar detachment badly mauled, 80 Squadron stepped in to fly cover for the Royal Navy ships. One of the missions was flown by Roald Dahl. Dahl, whose parents were Norwegian immigrants to Britain, was also well known as a writer of children's literature. At 4:30 p.m., Dahl reported intercepting an aircraft identified as a Potez 63. He claimed to have set one of its engines on fire and seen it dive into the sea. Dahl was given a probable victory, but there are no French losses to match it. The next day, 9th of June, saw the advance of Indian ground troops towards Sheikh Meskin. The 3 French units took over from there and continued advancing towards Kisweh, just 10 miles south of Damascus. However, most of the action in the air took place near the coast. The Vichy forces launched bomber attacks on the 15th Cruiser Squadron, which resulted in 2 dogfights. At 2:20 p.m., 3 Hurricanes of 80 Squadron arrived on patrol, and a major French attack immediately followed. The Vichy force included 6 Martin 167s of GB-139, 4 outdated Bloch MB-200s of EB-339, and 6 D-520s of Groupe de Chasse 3-6 flying fighter cover. The Hurricane leader, Flight Lieutenant J. Lockhart, spotted 3 MB-200s in a Vic formation but failed to notice the Dewoitine fighters above them. The Hurricanes dived out of the sun and attacked from the port quarter. Lockhart fired several long bursts at the lead bomber, after which it turned towards Beirut. It was eventually seen in a steep dive, followed by a large splash. But the Hurricane soon came under attack by 3 of the escorting Dewoitines. Lieutenant Le Gloan fired at what he thought was the flight leader and shot it down in flames, observing the pilot bail out. Another Hurricane was attacked by Sergeant Mequet, while the third one continued attacking the block bombers. The Hurricane dove away after the pilot saw the other Dewoitine section attacking him. Le Gloan turned and saw a Hurricane pursued by Sergeant Mequet, who soon broke off the attack after running out of ammunition. Le Gloan took over and eventually sent this Hurricane down in flames as well. Once again, he saw the pilot bail out. However, neither of the 2 pilots Le Gloan shot down, pilot officers Lynch and Crowther, survived. Neither of them was the flight leader as Le Gloan had supposed, and Flight Lieutenant Lockhart returned to base. 2 of the block bombers were lost. The first, shot down by Lockhart, fell into the sea with only a single crew member surviving. Another, which was badly damaged, crashed near Bir Hassen, but fortunately the crew survived without injuries. This was not the end of the fighting. 3 more Hurricanes took off at 3:40 p.m. to relieve Lockhart's patrol, while at the same time 3 D-520s scrambled from Rayak, led by Captain Richard. The Hurricanes spotted the Dewoitines at 12,000 feet and attacked. The French pilots were well aware of the situation, and the dogfight developed. Flying Officer Westlake claimed to have shot down one of the D-520s into the sea. He and Sergeant Wallace then got on the tail of another Dewoitine. Captain Richard fired on one of the Hurricanes and observed it dive seawards. But he immediately came under fire from 2 Hurricanes on his tail. These were Westlake and Wallace, who fired from a range of 100 to 150 yards and saw their target catch fire, with the propeller apparently stopped. However, Richard dove away in his badly damaged Dewoitine, and the flames went out. He eventually returned to base. Sergeant Michaud claimed that he had shot down one of the Hurricanes attacking Richard, and each of them was credited with 1 victory. The 3rd Hurricane and the 3rd Dewoitine collided head-on, but both pilots survived and bailed out, although the British pilot, Sergeant Bennett, suffered severe burns. Both pilots claimed the kill and both were eventually given credit. In the case of the French pilot, Léon Richard, the credit was given after his return from captivity. It's possible that Rivory's D-520, which took part in the collision, was the aircraft claimed shot down by Flying Officer Westlake. Rivory probably dove to escape and then collided with Bennett. The Royal Navy confirmed both claims made by the Hurricane pilots, but they most likely assumed that Bennett's Hurricane was a second Dewoitine. The rest of the day saw French bomber attacks on ground troops and another fighter lost on takeoff at Damascus. In this case, it was a Marin-Saulnier. Let us know in the comments how you've liked the series so far. If you want to see the rest of the story, make sure you also press the like button, and if possible, watch the entire video. A campaign such as this cannot be covered in 1 or 2 videos, and YouTube usually does not suggest sequels to new viewers unless their statistics are way above average. Thank you for your time and keep watching Showtime 112.